Welcome back as we take you to a very deep and amazing journey of relaxation of bedtime story. Please like and subscribe to the channel so we can get your request on a story you want to listen to. Before we start, make sure you are very comfortable and in a very warm spot. Take a deep breath and make sure to focus your mind entirely on your breathing, forgetting about your worries in this short while as you get the best treatment you can give your brain. Okay, let's begin. Under a star-strewn sky over the rugged hills of Macedon, the air carried the crisp scent of pine and the distant clang of hammers as young Alexander stood on a cliff near Pella, his gaze fixed on the palace where his fate unfolded. Born in 356 BCE under a rare lunar eclipse, whispers among the mountain folk claimed he was marked by the gods, his first cry echoing through the night like a herald's call. The palace gardens buzzed with the hum of bees among olive trees, where King Philip II, a towering man with a voice like a war drum, shaped Macedon into a warrior realm with his phalanx of bronze-tipped spears dominating the plains. Philip dreamed of uniting Greece against the vast Persian Empire, a vision he passed to Alexander like a flame in the dark. A subplot emerged when a wandering seer, cloaked in moonlit robes, gifted the boy a silver amulet that pulsed with starry light, hinting at a hidden valley where ancient warriors lay dormant, awaiting a leader. At 13, Alexander studied under Aristotle in a grove near Mysa, the rustle of leaves blending with lessons on strategy, the amulet glowing faintly as he traced maps of distant lands. One moonless night, driven by curiosity, he ventured out with Hephaestion, the air cool against their skin, and found the valley, its entrance guarded by stone statues with eyes like polished obsidian. Solving their riddle, what binds land to sky? With the answer faith, the statues parted, revealing a cavern where spectral warriors trained under a dome of stars, their armor clinking softly as they pledged allegiance. As dawn broke, Alexander returned to Pella, the amulet now a secret talisman, his dreams alive with the clash of empires under the night sky. As the moon cast silver beams over Macedon's palace gardens, Alexander, now 18, rode with the companion cavalry at the Battle of Kyrenia in 338 BCE, the air thick with the metallic tang of blood and the roar of clashing shields. Philip's phalanx held firm, their bronze spears glinting under the stars, while Alexander's charge shattered the Athenian line, his horse's hooves pounding the dew-soaked earth, earning a nod from his father amid the chaos. Tragedy struck in 336 BCE when an assassin's dagger felled Philip at a wedding feast, the hall erupting in shouts as torches flickered, casting jagged shadows. Alexander seized the throne, moving with hawk-like precision to exile rivals like Amyntas, the scent of funeral incense lingering as he consolidated power. The amulet's glow intensified, leading him to a hidden chamber beneath Pella where a starlit map revealed a secret pass through the Hellespont. With Hephaestion, he rallied the army, the clatter of armor filling the night as Greek cities wavered. A subplot unfolded when a Theban sorcerer, fleeing his city's ruin, offered a crystal orb that summoned storm winds, its surface etched with constellations. During a clash with Thracian tribes, Alexander unleashed the orb's gale, scattering their war carts down Mount Hemus, the wind howling through the peaks as his phalanx advanced, shields locked. The victory secured his northern flank, and as he gazed at the starry horizon, the amulet and orb pulsed together, signaling a march to Asia. The night air carried the weight of glory, and Alexander's resolve hardened. His father's dream would endure. Subscribe for more nightly tales. With the northern borders safe under a canopy of stars, Alexander led his 35,000-strong army from Amphipolis in 334 BCE. The Hellespont's dark waters reflecting torchlight as longships sliced through the night toward Persia. The air was rich with the briny tang of the sea and the creak of oars. Hephaestion standing resolute beside him, their bond a silent anchor amid the soldiers' chants. The amulet's glow guided them to a cove where the spectral warriors from Macedon's valley emerged, their ghostly spears shimmering, bolstering the ranks with ethereal strength. A subplot arose when a Persian scout, captured near the shore, spoke of a labyrinthine fortress in Asia Minor, guarded by a fire-breathing griffin protecting a treasury of star-forged blades. Alexander marched inland, the crunch of gravel underfoot mingling with the distant howl of wolves, and faced the griffin in a moonlit canyon, its wings casting shadows like storm clouds. With the crystal orb, he summoned a whirlwind to quench its flames, allowing Hephaestion to strike with a spear, the beast collapsing in a cascade of embers, revealing blades that hummed with celestial power. Armed with these weapons, he met the Persian satraps at the Granicus River, the water sparkling under starlight as his phalanx clashed with horsemen, the air filled with the ring of steel and cries of battle. Victory came when the amulet guided an outflanking maneuver, the blades' glow turning the tide, and as they pressed toward Gordium, a new challenge emerged. A rope knot in the temple, said to unleash divine favor if untied. With a single stroke of a star-forged blade, Alexander severed it, the temple quaking as a comet streaked across the sky, marking his rise. The night deepened with tales of his prowess spreading, the amulet and orb now symbols of a conqueror destined to reshape the world. As the moon hung low over the Hellespont, casting a silver path across the dark waters, Alexander's army disembarked on Persian soil, the air thick with the salty tang of the sea and the distant cry of gulls under the starlit sky. The year was 334 BCE, and the 35,000 soldiers, bolstered by the spectral warriors from Macedon's hidden valley, marched with a rhythm that shook the earth, their bronze armor glinting like constellations. Hephaestion rode at Alexander's side, the amulet around the king's neck pulsing with a rhythmic glow, while the crystal orb rested in a pouch, its surface cool to the touch. A subplot emerged when a local shepherd, trembling under the moonlight, revealed a cave near Troy where a golden shield of Achilles lay hidden, guarded by a phantom horse that galloped through the night. Driven by his mother Olympias's tales of his heroic lineage, Alexander ventured into the cave, the air heavy with the musty scent of ancient stone, and faced the spectral steed, its mane flowing like a river of stars. With the orb's whirlwind, he calmed the beast, its hooves stamping the ground in submission, and claimed the shield, its surface etched with scenes of Troy's fall, adding a legendary weight to his campaign as the army pressed toward the Granicus River under the watchful night sky. The battle at Granicus erupted under a canopy of stars, the river's surface rippling with reflections of clashing steel as Alexander led his phalanx against the Persian satrap's cavalry. The air filled with the sharp scent of sweat and the thunderous clash of spears. The amulet's light guided his outflanking move, the spectral warriors charging alongside, their ghostly forms a blur in the moonlight, while the star-forged blades from the griffin's treasury hummed with power, slicing through enemy ranks. Hephaestion's horse reared as he struck down a Persian noble, the ground slick with mud and blood, while the crystal orb unleashed a gust that toppled enemy banners, their silk fluttering like fallen leaves. A subplot unfolded when a wounded Persian healer offered a vial of glowing sap, claiming it could heal any wound under the stars, a gift to spare his life. Alexander accepted, using it to save a fallen soldier, the sap's warmth spreading like a dawn glow, earning loyalty from his troops. Victory secured Asia Minor, the night air carrying the cheers of his men as they camped by the river, the shield of Achilles propped against his tent, its golden surface reflecting the constellations above, fueling dreams of further conquests. As dawn faded into a starry night over Phrygia, Alexander reached Gordium, the city's temple looming like a shadow against the moon, where the fabled Gordian not challenged all who sought to rule Asia. The air was thick with the scent of cedar and incense, the temple's stone walls carved with celestial patterns that seemed to shift under the starlight. The amulet and orb pulsed in unison as Alexander approached the knot, a tangle of rope said to bind the city's fate, guarded by a priest who warned of divine wrath. With a decisive stroke of a star-forged blade, he severed the knot, the temple trembling as a comet streaked across the sky, its tail a fiery arc, signaling his destiny. A subplot arose when the priest revealed a hidden chamber beneath the altar, containing a starlit mirror that showed visions of future battles, its surface rippling like water under the moon. Alexander glimpsed a vast empire stretching to India, his reflection aging with each conquest, and emerged with the mirror, its weight a burden and a promise. The night deepened as his army celebrated, the shield, blades, and mirror now symbols of his rising legend, the air filled with the crackle of campfires and the distant howl of wolves under the eternal stars. The march continued under a moonlit sky toward Issus, the air growing warm with the scent of desert sage as Alexander's army faced Darius III's vast Persian host, their banners fluttering like dark clouds. The amulet's glow intensified, guiding his phalanx through a narrow pass, the spectral warriors flanking the enemy, their spears a ghostly shimmer in the night. Hephaestion led the cavalry charge, the ground trembling under hooves, while the crystal orb summoned a sandstorm that blinded the Persians, their cries lost in the howling wind. A subplot emerged when a captured Persian princess, hidden in Darius's camp, offered a jade amulet that controlled sand serpents, her eyes reflecting the starlight as she sought refuge. Alexander accepted her aid, and during the battle, the serpents rose from the dunes, their scales glinting like moonstones, coiling around enemy chariots, securing a stunning victory. The night air carried the scent of victory and blood as Darius fled, leaving his treasury and family behind, the mirror showing Alexander a vision of Egypt's pyramids under the stars, urging him onward as his legend grew with each starry conquest. Under a star-filled sky over Egypt, Alexander entered Memphis in 332 BCE. The air rich with the aroma of lotus blossoms and the rhythmic chant of priests as he was crowned pharaoh in a temple aglow with torchlight. The amulet and orb guided him to a hidden oasis where the spectral warriors knelt, their presence a silent vow, while the shield of Achilles rested against a palm tree, its gold catching the moonlight. The mirror revealed a submerged city beneath the Nile, its spires gleaming under the water, guarded by a water spirit with eyes like sapphire stars. A subplot unfolded when a local scribe, clutching a papyrus map, led Alexander to the city, the air cool and damp as they dove into the river, the spirit challenging him with a riddle. "What flows eternal?" answered with time, parting the waters to reveal a chest of starlit pearls. Claiming the pearls, Alexander used their light to illuminate the night march to Siwa, where an oracle confirmed his divinity, the desert sands whispering his name under the stars. The victory solidified his rule, the air filled with the scent of myrrh as his army camped, the pearls and mirror now tokens of a king destined to rule under the eternal night sky. As the moon rose over the plains of Gaugamela in 331 BCE, Alexander faced Darius III again, the air heavy with the dust of 100,000 Persian troops, their war elephants trumpeting under the starry expanse. The amulet's pulse synchronized with the orb, guiding his phalanx through a feigned retreat, the spectral warriors striking from the shadows, while the star-forged blades carved through enemy lines. Hephaestion's cavalry outflanked the elephants, the ground shaking with their charge, and the jade amulet summoned sand serpents to coil around Darius's chariot, forcing his flight. A subplot arose when a Babylonian astronomer, captured in the chaos, offered a celestial chart that predicted a lunar eclipse, its alignment promising victory if honored with a sacrifice. Alexander heeded the advice, offering a ceremonial sword to the stars, and as the eclipse darkened the night, the Persians faltered, their morale shattered under the moon's shadow. The triumph marked the fall of Persia, the mirror showing a vision of India's mountains, the air filled with the scent of victory fires as his army cheered, the pearls, shield, and chart now relics of a conqueror whose legend would echo through the starry dreams of generations. As the moon ascended over the conquered plains of Gaugamela, casting a silvery sheen across the battlefield strewn with broken chariots and trampled banners, Alexander's army prepared to march eastward toward the unknown lands of India, the air thick with the smoky residue of victory fires and the faint tang of spilled wine from the soldiers' celebrations. It was late 331 BCE, and the amulet around his neck glowed with a steady rhythm, its light mirrored by the crystal orb tucked in his belt, while the jade amulet hummed softly, its sand serpents coiled in the shadows, ready to strike. Hephaestion rode beside him, the celestial chart from the Babylonian astronomer clutched in his hand, its star patterns aligning with a lunar eclipse that had sealed their triumph, the night sky a canvas of prophecy. A subplot emerged when a wandering trader from the east, his robes dusted with saffron, offered a brass key said to unlock a temple of dreams in the Hindu Kush, where a golden chariot awaited, forged by celestial smiths under a starlit forge. Driven by the mirror's vision of India's towering mountains, Alexander led his phalanx through rugged passes, the air crisp with the scent of pine and the distant roar of a river, until they reached the temple, its walls etched with constellations that pulsed like living stars. Inside, a guardian spirit, its form a swirl of moonlight and mist, challenged him with a riddle. "What drives the soul beyond the horizon?" Answered with curiosity. Unlocking the chariot, its wheels gleaming with a light that rivaled the moon. The spectral warriors mounted the chariot, their ghostly forms adding an ethereal weight to the advance, and as they descended into the Indian plains, the night air carried the promise of a new frontier. The key and chariot now symbols of a king chasing the edges of the world under the starry expanse. As the stars wheeled overhead in the Indian night, casting a soft glow over the lush valleys of the Hydaspes River, Alexander faced King Porus in 326 BCE, the air alive with the scent of monsoon-drenched earth and the trumpeting of war elephants that loomed like shadowed mountains. The amulet's pulse quickened, guiding his phalanx through a rain-soaked crossing, the spectral warriors charging alongside, their spears a blur in the moonlight, while the crystal orb summoned a tempest that churned the river, disorienting Porus's forces. Hephaestion led the cavalry through the muddy banks, the ground squelching under hooves, and the jade amulet unleashed sand serpents that coiled around elephant legs, toppling the beasts with a thunderous crash. A subplot unfolded when a local sage, his beard white as moonlight, presented a lotus flower that bloomed with starlight, claiming it held the power to commune with the dead, a gift to honor Alexander's quest. Using it by the riverbank, Alexander summoned a vision of Philip, his father's voice urging him to seek the ocean's edge, the flower's petals glowing as the battle raged, securing victory with Porus's surrender under the night sky. The mirror revealed a distant shore, the air filled with the salty promise of the sea, and the golden chariot carried them toward the Beas River, its wheels leaving trails of starlight. Exhausted, the army mutinied under the stars, their voices rising like a chorus, but the lotus flower's power convinced them with a vision of home, the amulet, orb, and key now relics of a journey nearing its end. The night deepened with the scent of victory and the rustle of palm leaves, as Alexander gazed at the horizon, his legend etched into the dreams of a world touched by his starry conquests. As the moon rose high over the Beas River, bathing the Indian landscape in a silvery glow, Alexander stood at the edge of his army's camp in late 326 BCE, the air heavy with the damp scent of monsoon rains and the rustle of palm fronds swaying in the night breeze. The mutiny had left his 35,000 soldiers weary, their voices still echoing with demands to turn back, the ground soft underfoot from the recent deluge, while the golden chariot gleamed beside him, its starlit wheels reflecting the constellations above. The amulet pulsed with a steady beat, guiding his gaze to the lotus flower, its petals aglow with a faint starlight that had quelled the rebellion with visions of home, while the crystal orb rested in his hand, its surface cool and charged with untapped power. A subplot emerged when a wandering monk from the eastern hills, his saffron robes catching the moonlight, offered a bamboo flute said to summon the winds of the Himalayas, a gift to aid the final march to the ocean. Driven by the mirror's vision of a distant shore, Alexander ventured into the foothills, the air crisp with the scent of cedar and the distant chime of temple bells, where the flute's melody coaxed a gentle breeze that parted the mist, revealing a hidden pass guarded by a snow leopard with eyes like twin moons, with the jade amulet serpents distracting the beast. He played a note that soothed its growl, earning its nod of approval and access to the pass, the spectral warriors following in a ghostly procession as the night sky promised the edge of his empire. Under a starlit canopy over the Hydaspes valley, Alexander pressed toward the Indus River, the air thick with the earthy aroma of wet soil and the rhythmic splash of oars as his fleet navigated the moonlit waters in early 325 BCE. The bamboo flute hung from his belt, its notes still lingering in the air, while the amulet and orb guided the golden chariot along the riverbank, its wheels leaving trails of light that danced with the reflections of stars. Hephaestion scouted ahead, his horse's hooves muffled by moss, reporting a fortress carved into the cliffs, its walls adorned with gemstones that sparkled like a night sky, guarded by a sorceress who wielded shadow puppets that moved under the moonlight. A subplot unfolded when the sorceress, intrigued by the lotus flower, challenged Alexander to a duel of wits, offering a sapphire crown that controlled the river's flow if he won. The air grew tense with the scent of jasmine as he faced her riddle. What travels without moving? Answering time, causing her puppets to dissolve into mist and the crown to fall into his hands. With the crown's power, he parted the Indus, the water rushing aside like a curtain, allowing his army to cross under the stars, the spectral warriors wading through the shallows, their forms a shimmer in the night. The victory echoed with the clatter of armor and the cheers of his men, the mirror showing a coastline fringed with palm trees, urging him onward as the flute's melody carried their march into the dreamlike expanse of the east. As the moon dipped low over the Gedrosian desert, casting long shadows across the sand dunes, Alexander led his army through the arid night of 325 BCE, the air dry and sharp with the scent of sun-baked earth and the occasional whiff of camel dung from their caravan. The amulet's glow was a beacon in the darkness, the crystal orb summoning mirages of oases that kept morale alive, while the golden chariot creaked under the weight of the sapphire crown, its blue light guiding them through the treacherous sands. Hephaestion, ever loyal, scouted the dunes, his voice cutting through the wind to report a buried city, its spires peeking through the sand like teeth under the moonlight, guarded by a sandstorm spirit with a voice like rolling thunder. A subplot arose when a desert nomad, her face veiled in star-patterned cloth, offered a vial of liquid starlight, claiming it could reveal hidden paths if poured on the ground, a trade for safe passage. Alexander accepted, the vial's contents shimmering as it hit the sand, unveiling a stone path that led to the city, where the spirit demanded a test of endurance, a race across the dunes under the stars. With the lotus flower's vision spurring him on, he outran the storm, the spectral warriors trailing like shadows, and claimed the city's treasure, a silver horn that summoned rain. The night air filled with the patter of drops, reviving his army, the mirror now showing the ocean's edge, its promise driving them forward under the starry desert sky. As the first stars twinkled over the Arabian Sea in late 325 BCE, Alexander reached the coastal village of Patala, the air rich with the briny scent of the ocean and the rustle of coconut palms swaying in the night breeze. The amulet's pulse matched the rhythm of the waves, the sapphire crown controlling the tide to anchor his fleet, while the silver horn's rain had transformed the parched land into a fertile plain, the ground soft with new grass underfoot. Hephaestion stood beside him, the bamboo flute's melody blending with the sea's murmur, as the mirror revealed a final vision, a coral throne at the ocean's floor, guarded by a sea dragon with scales like midnight stars. A subplot emerged when a fisherman, his nets heavy with silver fish, offered a pearl-encrusted trident said to command the depths, a gift to honor the conqueror's reach. Alexander dove into the moonlit waves, the air bubbling around him, and faced the dragon, its roar shaking the water, using the trident to part its coils with a thrust guided by the lotus flower's light. The throne rose, its coral glowing with an inner fire, and he claimed it, the spectral warriors guarding the ascent as he surfaced, the night air filled with the triumph of reaching the world's edge. The army camped under the stars, the ocean's lullaby mingling with their songs, the amulet, orb, and trident now relics of a king whose starry journey had touched the horizon, his legend etched into the dreams of a boundless night.